Welcome back to Money Makes. My name is Callie, and today we are going to be making a rich and decadent brownie skillet. So with Valentine's Day right around the corner, a dessert like this would be the perfect dessert to make for a romantic dinner in. And with the cost of going out to eat just completely through the roof these days, this type of recipe should be right up your alley. It's simple, it's delicious, it is ultra chocolatey, and you are just going to love it. And you can make this, of course, anytime you'd like. It doesn't have to be for Valentine's Day. If you love chocolate as much as I do, you are sure to just absolutely adore this recipe. So let's get right into it. But before we begin, as always, please remember to subscribe, like, share, chat in the comment section, and follow me on social media for more recipes and additional content. So these are the ingredients that you are going to need. I have some eggs, an egg yolk, brown sugar, granulated sugar. Here I have some dark chocolate chips that I melted with a little bit of butter just in the microwave, and you want to give it a stir every maybe like 30 seconds or so until everything is combined and creamy like you see here. I have some vanilla. I have a little bit of vegetable oil or canola oil. There's a little bit of chocolate in it, and that's why it looks like that. I have cocoa powder, some salt, along with some flour. My oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and this is how easy it is. So I'm gonna shuffle a few things around, and I'm gonna give my dry ingredients a whisk, which of course includes my cocoa powder, salt, and flour. And it doesn't need to be perfect, but here we go, good enough. I'm gonna set this aside and grab my eggs, my egg yolk, and also both types of sugar. And I'm gonna give this a whisk to combine. I'm using an electric whisk. You could of course do this by hand, but I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, perfect. So next goes in the melted chocolate. So I'm going to add this in and give it a whisk. And by the way, if you don't want to use dark chocolate, you don't have to. You could use semi-sweet chocolate, but I love using dark chocolate. I think it adds a real depth of flavor. And also, I wrote this on my website, which is of course linked in the description box below, where the written recipe is provided, that you could add in, and I typically do, I just didn't have any on hand at this point, or today, some instant coffee or espresso powder. I highly recommend adding it. You don't have to, but it's gonna add a really delicious kind of depth of flavor. It's a subtle flavor, but a little bit of some kind of mocha vibes, and I definitely recommend adding it if you can. So I'm gonna give this a mix to combine. Okay, so it is almost combined at this point, but you can clearly still see batter collected around the sides. And so what I'm gonna do is switch over to my spatula and just run it around the bottom and the sides of the bowl just to get everything nice and incorporated. I don't know why I'm struggling with that so much right now, but here we go. I'm just going to do this like so. It'll just take a quick second, and then I'm gonna clean up, grab the skillet, and let's finish this up. Okay, we're back. So as you can see here, I have a cast iron skillet that I generously greased with some oil. You can also use some butter. Like I said, my oven is preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And this is gonna bake in the oven for, I would say, about 20 to 22 minutes, okay? So when you have a couple options here. I prefer my skillet to be slightly kind of molten on the inside. I like it also quite chewy. What you're gonna notice is that the edges are going to cook more than the center. But remember, as it sits at room temperature, it's going to continue to firm up and set as it cools. So just don't overbake it, okay? If anything, I recommend underbaking it, especially if you're like me and you want it to be kind of slightly molten and, you know, just a little bit more chewy and kind of gooey. And I think the reason for that is because if I'm making brownies, you can't really make them as molten as you can a skillet like this, where if you're anything like my husband and I, you're just gonna dig into this with a spoon or just serve a little bit on a plate with some ice cream, and it all gets like melty and just absolutely delicious. So to me, that's sort of the difference between a skillet brownie and just a traditional brownie. But of course, everyone has their own preference. So if you want it totally firm, cook it a little bit longer. And if you do want it totally firm, you should be able to insert a knife or skewer into the center, and it should come out clean or with a few crumbs. So I am going to bake this up, and then I'm gonna give you a close-up of just how absolutely incredible this brownie skillet really is. As always, for the full recipe and instructions, head to my blog, mooneymakesrecipes.com. I'll put the link for that in the description box below. Click on the link, the recipe will come right up, and make this brownie skillet. I promise you're gonna love it, and let me know what you think because I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.